Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
how's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And continuing the best of 2024 list, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite Marvel Omnis released this year. So let's check out what these books are going to be and whether you agree or not. Welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to our patrons for making videos like this possible. Could not be doing this without you all. And the other thing I need to correct is, what do you agree or disagree with? Why did I ask that? Why do I leave myself open for critique? Anyway, no, I would love to know what your top 10, your favorite Omni that you're like, I can't believe we got this. And that's what this list is. I've been doing this for a few years now. I keep these off of the best collected editions released, and I will do a DC Omnis list later this week. Tomorrow, I believe, is YouTube's favorite reads of the year, and then wrapping up this year will be my favorite reads of the year, so the 31st. So every day I'll have a top 10 list. But yes, today I'm going to be focusing on Marvel Omnis that were released this year. Some of them came as a big surprise. Some of them are long time coming, but this is my personal list. And as I mentioned, I would love to know what your 10, your 5, your 1 Omni that you're like, I can't believe we got this. This is crazy. Leave those comments down below. Smash that like button before I go any further. And this is a little bit different. It's on a countdown, but I will be talking about these books in the order they were released. So let's check out our first book. And I can't imagine any other way to kick off this list than the ROM, the original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 1. Could it have been called the Romnibus? Absolutely. But whenever you're dealing with licensing and legal issues, it's best not to poke the bear. So that's why I'm kicking it off with this book. It's a book that none of us saw coming. That has been around for so many years, and Legend of the stories collected in here have been around for decades. Never has it been collected in any kind of trade paperback. The licenses went over to IDW, and they didn't do anything with the classic stuff, and here we go. Marvel got the rights back. But not only that, for a while, by the way, so whenever that license is up, that's when they'll stop making these sort of epic collections coming out. We got the Power Man and Iron Fist. We got all these uncollected stories that feature the character of Rom. We got the wrap up to the Nova series. If you have the Nova Omnibus by Marv Wolfman, oh my gosh, the wrap up of that big war is in here. So absolutely, I am kicking it off with this book that came out in January 23rd, but it's not the only book that came out in January 23rd that made the list. Because also that day was the THOR by J. Michael Straczynski and Kieran Gillen Omnibus. This is a reprint slash new book because one of my favorite things to do every year, for 6 years now, is do a reprint poll. I let you all vote for the books you want reprinted. I send the top 20 over to Marvel, and they have been graciously reprinting a lot of these books. This one was a little bit different because when you all asked for this to be reprinted, I just kind of suggested, instead of just the JMS material, is there any way to add the Kieran Gillen stuff? That would make for an awesome omnibus. And they did. They did it, and they made it into this big, beautiful book. Now, the people that want the JMS stuff, of course, can look for that book in the third-party market. It's a lot cheaper than it used to be when it was just out of print. But this takes us from pretty much the Dan Jurgens and the Michael Avon Oeming era of the Hero's Return to the Matt Fraction run. So this is in between those, and it takes us all the way past Jason Aaron and all the way to Donny Cates. It's crazy how much of Thor, especially modern Thor, we've had collected in omnibus format, and this book was just such a wonderful addition. I'm so glad they decided to add the Gillen issues, so no issue left behind. That's right. I love doing this. Like, love talking about these books and love to see every once in a while, not every time, when Marvel decides, yeah, okay, that sounds about right. Let's add some more issues in there. Now, while everybody was excited about the Romnibus, I was more excited about Micronauts because this was my jam when I was a kid. A licensing jam, besides Transformers, of course. But this one came out in April, I believe it was April 16th of this year, and all 3 volumes by the end of the year are going to be collected. As a matter of fact, my overview of the 3rd volume will come out later today if this is being put out on Tuesday. I think so. But yes, Micronauts, Bill Mantlo and Michael Golden kicking off this wonderful series about the microverse and introducing us to these new characters. You're going to be seeing a lot of guest stars in here, like Doctor Strange and the X-Men. The one thing that is not collected in the 3 Omnis, and believe me, I know, I also wanted it in Volume 3, was the X-Men Micronauts miniseries, which was my gateway to the Micronauts. But again, whenever you're dealing with licensing, it's, you know... there is a reason why, like, Red Sonja cannot be put into those Conan Omnis, and just vice versa. Conan cannot be added to the Red Sonja Omnis because different corporations and entities. So anyway, we still got it. It's never been collected, and now it's finally been collected in 3 Omnis, and the epics are going to start coming out, not yet, but they will start coming out in 2025. So I absolutely love the design, the letter pages, and the restoration. It's a beautiful collection. I am not an expert when it comes to the expanded universe of Star Wars, whether it's the novels or the comics. I've read just a handful of the comics, played some of the video games, but it has been a blessing that Marvel has reprinting a lot of these Dark Horse stories in Epic Collection and now in Omnibus format. In the past, one of the handful of stories that I did read was The Dark Empire, and it just blew me away. I loved it. So not only do you get The Dark Empire in here, you get Heir to the Empire, you get all these stories post Episode 6, or Return of the Jedi. It's what's going on with the Force, what's going on with Luke, what about Leia and Han's kids? Oh my gosh, the New Republic Omnibus Volume 2 that came out in July, absolutely my favorite Star Wars comics in here. Although Knights of the Old Republic is up there. I had never read that stuff until just recently, well, when the first Omnibus, the first printing came out, and it just blew me away. But yes, absolutely. If you haven't read the Dark Horse era of Star Wars, it is freaking mind-blowing just what they were doing back then. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so glad it's in oversized format. I still have that hardcover that Dark Horse released many years ago. My favorite Captain America run finally being collected in omnibus format with Volume 2 coming out in 2025, and that is Captain America by Mark Gruenwald, Volume 1. Oh my gosh, Mark Gruenwald has his name on an omnibus. Now, hopefully one day we'll get like a Quasar omnibus, although he did have Squadron Supreme, so I take it back. And then they did an expanded Squadron Supreme. But this is such an amazing collection. You know, when it comes to creator-centric books, it's one of those things that I'm like, oh, eventually it's going to be replaced by Volume 8 or 9 of Captain America. I haven't done the math yet. I haven't mapped it out, so I'm just kind of guessing. But I just, you know, some of us can't wait. Some of us are in their 40s and closer to 50 than 40 and want to read these things from our childhood now instead of like 10 years or whenever we get there. So that's why I love these creator-centric books, as long as there's no missing issues, which, yeah, they did a really good job mapping this one, including the miniseries of, I think it's in the second omnibus that's by Feministas of the US, was it US Agent? Regardless. Oh my gosh, and that Mike Zeck artwork towards the beginning, the fight with Wolverine. I mean, was there another cover choice? Was that, I mean, although it is cool to own D-Man in an omnibus cover. But anyway, yes, absolutely. Gru finally got his omnibus of Captain America. Speaking of creator-centric books, Daredevil, Modern Daredevil, has been collected amazingly in omnibus format. There are some comics that are missing, even some that by creators like Bendis, like End of Days, or Bob Gale's run in omnibus format, but hopefully one day we'll get those in some kind of oversized hardcover. But Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, oh my gosh, Heaven Through Hell is just such a stellar read. It's like Daredevil has had the blessings of all of these wonderful creators that have put pen to paper and just kept writing the stories of Matt Murdock and keeping you hooked. Like, and this is, yeah, this is no exception. This is absolutely a freaking phenomenal run. I loved it. And taking us all the way to Devil's Reign, Volume 2 coming out. You just saw the overview maybe yesterday. Wrapping up Chip Zdarsky's run, and now it's Saladin Ahmed. And I'm sure one day that will be collected in omnibus format. But yes, oh, and the artwork by Marco Cicchetto alone. I mean, the story's phenomenal, but that artwork is just icing on the cake. It's so beautiful. We know we're getting Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 6, but it's going to be years before we get to this era, and this is the post-JMS era. This is the post-One More Day era. This is Brand New Day. And I think in my overview, I said, or I should have, that enough time has passed from One More Day until now. Because I was bitter about One More Day, just like a lot of people. And I'm not even the biggest Spider-Man fan. But just so much time has passed since then, like reading these stories from a perspective of somebody that just, you know, completely hated it when One More Day came out. It's actually really damn fun. It kind of reminds me of like 70s Spider-Man, where he's a bachelor, he's single, he's broke, he really doesn't have a job that he can rely on. And he's still, you know, not amateurish, he's still Spider-Man, but it just kind of reminds me of the simpler times. Not suggesting everybody go out and erase their marriage, but if you're going to do that, I guess, you know, you start swinging with a Brand New Day. Now, like I said, this will eventually be collected in an ongoing chronological ordering number of Amazing Spider-Man, but oh my gosh, what are we talking about, 20 years maybe? I need to read this stuff now, and then hopefully we'll get like Big Time as well, Brand New Day Volume 2, a Big Time, and then have all of that Dan Slott era collected, because so far we just got Superior Spider-Man. But yes, absolutely, Brand New Day. Really suggest giving it a read if you haven't read One More, if you're like one of these people like, nope, Spider-Man is done, I'm out. One More Day killed the character for me. I don't know. Maybe give it a second chance. X-Men, The Mutant Massacre Prelude Omnibus. Now, this one here cost a lot of ruckus, and I completely understand. We had Uncanny 5. We had 2 issues added to that, which was wonderful. And then they decided to do X-Factor, the original X-Men Omnibus, which collects the early issues of X-Factor. So people were like, okay, I'll get Uncanny 5 and X-Factor. But this is the book that perfectly fits in between Uncanny 4 and Mutant Massacre. And it's one of those things that came out after those 2 books had already been announced, but before X-Factor came out. I think I got to announce this. But regardless, people were like, oh my gosh, that's the book I wanted. Why didn't they release that first? Well, a lot of the behind the scenes is, it was because it's the book we wanted, and they thought, hey, that's a good idea. And they finally gave it to us. It just kind of came after Uncanny 5. But regardless of that, you know, aside from the controversy and the ruckus that it caused, this is a beautifully mapped omnibus. And if you're watching this 5 years from now, you're going to be like, what ruckus? What controversy? There was some. And this book, not only is it mapped perfectly, I mean perfectly, because this is the stuff that I lived for when I was a kid. I was like, oh, this issue goes here, this issue goes here. It's very close to what they did here. It also has the letter pages, which they hardly do in Event Omnis, making this one really obscure. And yeah, if you don't have Uncanny 5, and if you don't have X-Factor or plan on getting more X-Factor, and you've been getting the X-Men Event Omnis, this is the one to pick up. A book that was one of my most wanted Omnis that Marvel should do, and it was, I think, #1 for a few years, finally got to come out in September of 2024. And we're getting a Volume 2 in September of 2025, and that is Ghost Rider Danny Ketch Omnibus Volume 1. Mark Teixeira, and then you've got, of course, Howard Mackie kind of just taking this character and then just broadening the horizon with, hey, you know, there's all these obscure characters that we haven't used for a while, and this character seems to be popular. Let's bring in Johnny Blaze. Oh, wait, there's all these other characters like Hannibal King and Blade. Everybody liked Blade and Morbius and the Darkhold. And the Rise of the Midnight Suns just blew up after this. The Spirits of Vengeance, like, oh my gosh. This era of Ghost Rider, like, it was so popular. They had like 5 ongoing titles, miniseries. I mean, Ghost Rider Danny Ketch was featured in 2 monthly books. It's just crazy to think about how different times were then in the early 90s and now, where, you know, actually, no, he did have a solid Benjamin Percy series. But yes, I am so glad we finally got this for people to read for the first time, in case you haven't. And it's also has been coming out in Epic Collection. I'll do my top 10 Epic releases. I think that one's scheduled to come out on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, oh my gosh. One of my most wanted Omnis actually physically being here is just, it's just too good to be true. last is a book that the near mint condition community made happen. I talked about how we do polls every year for people to vote on and to have books reprinted. This was one that was 2 years on the poll because what happened was I thought, okay, Extinction Agenda is too thin, but maybe if they put it together with the Days of Future Past, but it's got the Days of Future Present story in it, maybe we can have a pretty decent sized omnibus. Not only did they do that, but they added other stories in here too, like some uncollected Marvel Comics Presents stories. And it's just an amazing and humbling blessing that we get to play a small part in all of this, right? Like, we voted for it. Marvel actually came out and printed it. And here people have now the chance to have Extinction Agenda and the Days of Future Present story right between their Claremont and Jim Lee Omnis volumes 1 and 2. Eventually, yes, of course, like everything else I've talked about here, we'll have a chronological order release of this stuff. But I think a few of my viewers put it best. They were like, yeah, we'll worry about that then. I want this now. And I completely understand that mentality because I'm very much the same way, and it probably has to do a little bit with my age. But that is it. That's the top 10 list. If you're interested in any of these books, any of the covers, because they all have variant covers, check out our sponsors. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $200 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was my list of the top 10 Marvel Omnis released in 2024. Let me know in the comments down below what your list looks like, whether you have a top 5 list, a top 3, top 1, or you do have your own top 10 books that you thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe they released Godzilla, for example. Almost made the list, but I already had Micronauts and I preferred that one, and then Rom's the one that kicked it off, so I had to put that on there. I mean, it's historically a very important book for Marvel Omnis. But yes, let me know all that in the comments. Smash that like button on the way out. Thank you all so much for watching. And keep watching every day this week as there's more top lists coming out. The best of 2024. That's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.